Hello and welcome back once again to Movie Reviews. So just got out of seeing the third movie of the night, and probably going to be the last movie of the night just because I'm getting kind of tired. And I actually think I would have enjoyed this movie a lot more if I wasn't as tired as I am right now. Because it was interesting, but the whole time I was just like, come on, get it over with. I want to go home, rest, do some other stuff. I was kind of getting bored with watching movies today for some reason. But with that said, just got out seeing As Above, So Below, which actually opened last week, but like I said in the previous video, didn't get a chance to make it to the theater last week to see it, so I'm seeing it tonight. So it's sort of a found footage documentary type movie. I don't know if it's really found footage as much as it seems like it's going to go that way because of what happens in the movie, but it more or less is a documentary. But it's a fake documentary. It's kind of along the lines of if the Blair Witch mixed with National Treasure. Basically, we're doing this found footage cave exploration, trying to find this treasure. They find it, and then they have to find the way out, and yeah, basically all the stuff happens. So we start out with the girl from the film. God, I forgot her name already. She's in Iran, and she's trying to get into these caves that are getting ready to be demolished because she thinks there's some historical item there. And turns out there is, but it's only really significant to her or people that research what she's researching. So she gets into the cave. She's hurriedly taking pictures with the camera, because she has to get out of there because they're about to demolish the caves. And then as she's running out, she gets distracted by something, and then boom, the explosion goes off, so you got the whole shaky, jerky cam thing flying around. Can't really see what's going on. She ends up making it out of the cave. Yay. Obviously, because, the movie continues, and she's in it, so yeah. She's going to get out of it. So then we meet the documentary film crew, which is basically just one guy with a camera. She doesn't have like a whole sound team or anything like that. And he's basically following around filming her exploration now, explaining what she's doing, why she's doing it, what led her to the research, why she thinks something is in a certain area. And then she has to go meet up with the other guy to help her translate the writing that was on the stone that she was filming in the other cave, because out of all the languages she speaks, this language, which was Aramaic, is the one language she doesn't speak. So he agrees to help her translate, but that's as far as he wants to go. He doesn't like going in caves for reasons. So he says, I'm not going to go underground with you, but I'll help you translate. So they end up going into the museum with the cipher, and they're looking at this stone, which apparently is a tombstone, and they're deciphering all the clues that are on the front of it, and they realize, there might be something on the back of it. So they have to pull the stone off the wall without dropping or breaking it, and, she has to decode the message on the back, which involves, like, dumping cleaning chemicals on it and then lighting it on fire. Sound familiar? There was a cipher on the back of the Declaration of Independence and National Treasure, and the only way to get it out was with lemon juice and heat. Yeah. So basically they get the information off that. They find out where they have to go, which is they're going to where the grave the tombstone was taken from is placed. But it turns out they can't get to it unless they go through the catacombs. And turns out the area of the catacombs that they can get to is blocked off from where they need to be. So they manage to find a guide that'll take them down into the restricted parts of the catacombs to get to the area that they want to get to. And as they're going through there, that's when all the weird shit starts happening. So then they finally make it through all these passages. Basically, there's two ways they can go. The one way is the way the guide's gone before, that he knows is safe. The other way is a way that no one goes because anyone that goes in there doesn't come back out. It's actually been blocked off. So, after arguing for a bit, they finally agree to go the way that he normally goes. They get through there, and it turns out they're back on the opposite side of the wall where they started from. And he says that's not possible, that's not right. But if you notice in the movie, everything's reversed, where it was on the one wall, where the other passage was on like the right-hand wall, now it's on the left-hand wall. But they don't seem to notice that. So they decide, well, the way we came just collapsed as we were coming through, so we have no choice but to go through this way because we can't get back out any other way. So they go through there, and that's when all the weird stuff starts happening, where the guy sees the piano and all the shit you see in the trailer. And as they get further and further and further down into this thing, they're still finding clues on the walls, like masonry symbols, and it's basically National Treasure. Which leads them into another passage, which leads them into another passage, which leads them into another passage, until they finally find the treasure. So once they find the treasure, well, all the doors keep sealing behind them, so now how do we get back out? Well, obviously there's got to be a back door, right? So they find the back door because they're trapped now, and as they get through, they notice everything's backwards. Because one of the things, basically, where the title of the movie comes from, As Above, So Below, is there's a symbol on the wall which represents As Above, So Below, and she goes through this whole theoretical idea about it, and up on the top of the ceiling is a drawing of a door. So she goes, okay, well, if there's a drawing of a door there should be a door down, because As Above, So Below. So they break through, go through this hole, and that's when everything kind of flips upside down, reverses. So where they originally came down a well shaft, now they're going down a well shaft again, but it takes them to where they would have been if they were up the well shaft, if that makes sense. So they keep working their way backwards, So they work their way back, and every so often they're encountering something that's like a personal torment of theirs, and spoilers, a few people die because of it. So then, as everyone's slowly dying off, it gets down to where the love interest, which is the guy that was helping her translate, because he ended up having to go underground with him. Oh, he had to go underground because when he was escorting them to the hole where they were going to go in, the police arrived and he had no choice but to go down the hole with them. Otherwise, they'd all be arrested, or he would be arrested if he stayed behind. So that's why he was down there. So of course he gets fatally injured, and he's going to die. And she realizes that, okay, the treasure that they went after, there was all this gold and stuff in the room, but the main thing she's after is the Philosopher's Stone. Harry Potter, right? Or Full Metal Alchemist, or any other alchemy-related movies. So yeah, she's after the Philosopher's Stone, and she thinks she finds it at one point, and then she realizes that it wasn't the right stone to begin with, and she has to go. And in order to get them out of there, she has to go and replace the stone from where she took it. So she has to run all the way back from where they just came, back to this central room, and put the stone back. And yet, it takes them literally like an hour to get through each of these areas. And she runs all the way back within like 3 minutes, puts the stone back, and then runs all the way back out to where they were in like another 3 minutes. And it's like, really? It took them this whole length of this movie to get from here to here, and it takes her like a minute? Yeah. So then it kind of goes into this whole, she's making it up as she goes along. None of it's real. The world is what you create of it, type of thing. So then she realizes that the Philosopher's Stone wasn't real. It was in her all along. Spoiler. So she goes back to where this guy, her love interest, is dying, and she just like puts her hand on his wound and kisses him, and then all of a sudden he's magically healed and he's back alive. So they keep running through the catacombs, blah, 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 and it's just really all fast-paced, jumbly cam at this point. You can't really see what's going on. And they come to this hole, and they're like, well, there's no other way out, and we don't have our repelling gear, so what are we supposed to do? And she goes, we have to do basically a leap of faith. We have to jump down the hole. And they're like, no, we won't survive. It's too deep. And she's like, you just have to trust. So they all jump together. They land, look up. Oh, no, it's closed off where they just came from. Well, there's got to be another way out, right? And there's this big circular thing on the floor that you can visibly see, but the one guy's panicking, like, there's no way out, there's no way out, there's no way out. And he's like, the other guy's like, would you shut up and help me move these rocks? So they move the rocks, and they realize it's a manhole cover. So they're trying to pull it off. Can't get it up. And then finally it moves, and he's like, what'd you do? And she's like, I pushed it down. Okay, because everything's flipped, right? Spoilers, by the way. So they push with all their might, pushing this thing down and trying to slide it over. They finally get it over. They see trees. They're like, are we outside? He goes, we have to chance it. We have to go. So they jump out of, or crawl their way out of this manhole. And turns out they're back in the real world. So they made it out. Some of them did anyway. A lot of them died. Out of the originals, majority of them died. So then, basically, spoiler, 3 of them make it out alive. The girl, her love interest, and one of the tour guides that had went with them. So they all had these little headlamps that had cameras built into them. And that's where the found footage documentary bit was coming from towards the end, because they actually dropped the main camera down in the catacombs, which how they recovered it to piece together the footage that was on it and put out this documentary, who knows? But somehow they managed, because I remember her picking that camera up once they dropped it. So it's showing all 3 of them standing up above this manhole cover. They push the manhole back, close it. Entrance to hell is closed. Oh, I forgot about the entrance to hell. I'll tell you about that in a second. So one camera's laying on the ground, which I think was the one guy's headband. It fell when they were coming through, so it's pointing up at the 3 of them. The one tour guide just pulls his off, hands it to her, and just walks away. He's like, you know what, you got me out, thanks, but fuck you, I'm done. And he takes off. Doesn't say another word to him, just turns around and walks away. That's basically the end of the movie. The entrance to hell... So as they do the as above, so below thing, and they find the door on the floor, and they climb down there, then there's this little narrow passageway that they have to crawl through, and there's something written in Aramaic, and he translates it, and it says, abandon all hope ye who enter here, which in mythology is the inscription above the entrance to hell. And then as she's crawling through, she stops and looks back and quotes another phrase from, the dialogue of the entrance to hell, which I believe was from Dante's Inferno. Could be wrong. But it says that they'll have to crawl on their bellies to enter the realm of darkness or something. I forget the exact quote. So, they're kind of laughing about how, it's funny that this saying is above it and we're having to crawl through it. Ha ha. And then that's basically when they realize everything's flipped, is once they get through this opening. But yeah, so that's the movie in a nutshell. Like I said, a lot of stuff happens in it. The pacing was okay, but the jumble, head cams where everything's just kind of bouncing around. You can't really see what's going on. A lot of it's in the dark. That kind of threw me off a little bit, but, that happens with all these found footage, fake documentary movies. like I said, if I wasn't as tired as I am right now, I might have enjoyed it a little bit more. But overall, it wasn't a bad film, but it could have improved a lot. Like I said, even with National Treasure, those movies had great premise, but the story was told poorly on National Treasure, and this kind of, it's trying to copy National Treasure but give it the Blair Witch feel, and it kind of falls into the same rut that National Treasure did, where it's an interesting concept, the story just wasn't told that well, and especially with the found footage shaky cam shit, it's kind of hard to follow. I followed it pretty good, but like what's going on from point to point is a little hard to follow when stuff's just shaking around and it's constantly going black and this and that. So, but there's a lot more to the story than what I've explained, like why they're seeing the things that they're seeing. I explained it a little bit, but it goes more in depth into it. So as far as a star rating, like I said, I don't want to rate it too low because I think I would have enjoyed it a little bit more if I was more awake and more, in the frame of mind to watch movies like I was when I got here this morning. But as you can see, it's now dark out, so I've been here pretty much all day. So for right now, I'm going to give it a middle of the road. I'm going to give it a 3. Like I said, it could have improved the story slightly and probably got a little bit higher, but it wasn't bad enough to where it deserves to be any lower than the middle of the road. If I wasn't as tired, it might have been a 3.5, but I don't know, I slightly doubt it. So yeah, I think 3 is a good number for this one. So I was going to go see one more movie tonight, which would have been The November Man, but like I said, I'm getting tired. I haven't ate anything all day, so I'm going to go home, grab something to eat, get these up and edited and up, hopefully, or scheduled at least. And then I got another day off of work tomorrow, and The November Man is actually playing at the theater right next to my house. So I'm probably going to go to that one to see that tomorrow morning. And I think there's one other movie over there playing that I want to see. So I'll probably see that after that, depending on how they time together, because I think those are on weird times to where I'd have to wait like 2 hours between them. But I can find something else to do for 2 hours. So yeah, there'll be at least 1 or 2 more following this. One will be The November Man. The other one, I have to see if the movie's still playing before I tell you what it is. So yeah, that's it for this episode. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode of Movie Reviews.